Hello and good afternoon. Today we have the honor to have with us a very special lady, Dr. Tumamu from the Wedding Butterfly. And she is really a butterfly. I would say when I imagine a butterfly then in the wedding industry, then I'm just thinking about you. Tumelo, tell us a little bit of like how you moved from the medical field to the event and wedding industry.
Wow, thank you so much, ladies, beautiful ladies, for hosting me, and thank you for the wonderful introduction. My journey is quite an interesting one. I know it's one of those rare ones, It started
Yes.
off, yeah, it started off for me as a hobby. Um, just bear with me. I've got a flu and I'm on medication, so I think I might be slow in retrieving some information, though.
No
All
problem.
good.
All good.
So it started for me as a hobby. It was purely a hobby where I was doing something that I enjoyed, that I was passionate about, and I had no intention at that stage to turn it into a business, what it is today. So I was doing baby showers, birthday parties for friends, for family, for free, because it was something that I enjoy. It's like somebody who enjoys baking and there's a family
Yeah.
gathering, and you'd be the one to quickly say, no, I'll bake for you guys, just buy me flour and some butter and sugar and whatever, and I'll bake some scones. So that was that for me. When there was a wedding, a cousin's wedding, I'd be like, I'm not going to the kitchen, I'm not going to be part of the cooking crew, but I'll be in the marquee or the tent or the hall, and I would help with small decorations. So that's where it started. It was purely a hobby and a passion. And as I started doing these things and putting my touch in it, the turning point was one baby shower that I did for a colleague that I was working with. I was doing my internship, and my younger sister said to me, the way you've put together this baby shower, I think you should start charging people and making them pay for your services. And I thought she was crazy. And I thought, you think somebody can pay me to put together things that are easily accessible to them as well? Because at that stage, I was talking from the China Mall, which everybody knew. And she was like, it's not
Yeah.
about us accessing it, but it's how you combine everything
Put
together
it
and
together.
transform a space. Yeah. So then I took that leap of faith and I started charging small amounts, really. When I look back at those codes, I still have even now. And I wonder really, what was I doing? And I charged and people were paying. And it used to actually scare me as well. Like, what if I fumble? I don't have any training. I'm just doing this because I enjoy it. And they started paying
Yeah.
and paying. And I saw it becoming more and more serious. And in 2012, I then went to the SA School of Weddings because I wanted to do it professionally now, and to charge properly and
Yes.
offer professional service that is organized, and I knew, so that I knew what I was talking about. So I did a course in advanced wedding planning through the SA School. And 2013, I had my first wedding planning client who was a colleague of mine. And she said to me, you know what? I know you've never done a wedding, but I've seen how passionate you are about this wedding business. And I know how you put together events. So she has seen me put together events at work and all sorts of things. That was like, I know you can pull off a wedding. And she trusted me with her wedding. I did
Amazing.
make a few fumbles and mistakes. And one of the biggest mistakes I made with that first wedding of mine, that I laugh at myself when I look at the pictures, and I would never make it again. She walked down the aisle without her bouquet. I forgot to
Oh,
hand. I gave her her bouquet in her room. And then I don't know what happened. I was just all over the place,
too much
and
excitement.
it was
Yeah.
literally, yeah, and it was literally my first wedding, and I didn't really have anyone to hold me by the hand and guide me, and so I was just all by myself, and we forgot her bouquet. I only realized when she was halfway uh, the aisle that she's not holding her bouquet in the hand. So it's one of those embarrassing
Okay.
moments, but it can never happen again. So it's one of the things that can never
Yeah,
happen
this was the
again.
learning curve. A quick
Yes,
one.
yes. A quick one. Yeah. So that's my background in terms of how I started in a nutshell.
Okay. Wonderful. But I feel like we all had our starts, you know. I mean, we don't have to be
Yeah.
ashamed of where we started.
Mm.
Like I said it a couple of times. When I remember the first wedding I did, I really don't really want to remember that one because it was like a lot of things I would never do again. But that was the first time, and also we had no one telling us like what to do. We did it by how we felt it would be right, and that's the learning
Mm.
curve that we all start somewhere. And it's also quite
Yeah.
interesting to say how you actually transformed your career from the medical field to the industry, because we have had over 100 people talking to, right? And everybody came actually from a very different like field, from
Mm.
attorneys to, I don't know, like accountants, and I don't know what. But all the people said something from their previous, let's say, life. I call it the previous life was a benefit to their current career. Would you say also you learned something as a doctor that you could take over in your current business?
Oh,
A
definitely,
knowledge
definitely.
or something?
Yes, most definitely. So it's a lot of things. So some of them on a business level, some of them on an interpersonal level. So one of the things that I've carried with it's listening skills. So
Mm.
I've got, I mean, that's what you learn from medical school. You know, when you're consulting with the patient, one of the things is to sit and hear them out. So
Yes.
that's one of my strengths as well. So when I'm consulting, I really sit and hear my clients out and I guide them where I have to guide them, but I don't interrupt them. I interrupt them only when they need to be interrupted. So great listening skills, which is quite important, because if you don't listen, especially in your first consultation, you can miss out on important points, you know, because
Yeah.
then the bride can say, but I did tell you, or maybe you didn't want to listen. I kept on saying to you
Yeah.
this and this, and I take quite a
Mm.
lot of notes, you know. And also respect. It does not matter what type of person you are. I respect all people and treat all people the same. So my staff will tell you, the security guards that we work with, the cleaners that we work with, I treat everyone the same, because to me, everyone is the same, you know, so no one is
Right.
above any other person.
Mm.
And other things, I mean, it's got a lot of things. And sometimes I end up canceling my brides. Planning a wedding can be emotional, can be stressful, and
Yeah.
it takes so much out of a person. I've had situations where I've also done a undergrad degree in psychology, so where my counseling
Okay.
and psychology skills come to play a role. And so those are the small added things that really have not gone to waste. And even sometimes after the weddings, I still interact with some of the clients, and actually sometimes I refer them to psychologists, because I'm not a psychologist, and I mean,
Mm.
I can only help up until a certain level. And also, coming to the business as a doctor has opened doors that I think would have not been open for me if I was just an ordinary person. Not that there's something
Mhm.
wrong with being an ordinary person, but the title came with a lot of things. So the title opened doors. I've been on a lot of TV interviews. I've been on a lot of media platforms, on newspapers, and even when I go to international workshops. I was in Dubai last year at the DWP. And when I left, I was remembered as the doctor who is now a wedding planner. So it makes you stand out in a crowd. So
Yeah.
it's not
Right.
all lost. Yeah, so it's a whole big package that I'm really grateful for. And to me, on a daily basis, it's just I'm grateful to God that He knew what lies ahead of me before I knew I would be walking in this journey. So He had it all planned out for me. So He knew you would go and collect this degree, and this is how it's gonna open doors for you. But apart from that, I'm still also investing in the medical field, though I'm not there on a full-time basis. I'm not seeing patients, I'm not practicing, but I'm still looking and scouting for potential business that side as well.
Yeah. You know what
I'm fascinated actually by your story, and for several reasons. I think the first reason, which I also want to really point out, is that the value of a person is not determined by their job description,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
Like, I think that is the first thing that, like, people should really also consider, because I think, and maybe you got this question before, I don't know, maybe you got the question before, said that you have been a doctor, you know, you had it all. I mean, so many people are
Exactly.
aspiring to become a doctor. I mean, there is a lot of years that you are putting in there to just like hold that title one day, you know. I mean, like, you
Yes.
must be really determined to know, like, I want to become a doctor and this is what I want to do. And I mean, people tie like a doctor with a lot of prestige, with a lot of like status, with a lot of like high profile social
Reputation.
life, a very
Yes.
good education. And maybe some people would have asked you, don't you think it's a step like back, instead of you thinking actually it's a step forward, because it is something that is maybe closer to your heart than like being a doctor. And being a doctor was just like one stepping stone to reach your final destination where you are at. Is that something maybe sometimes you feel like people think you have taken a step back, maybe specifically in the beginning when you had to take that leap of faith? And I'm sure your colleagues maybe at the, like, that you said, what are you doing? You want to become like a wedding planner or
Yes.
event planner?
Yeah.
What are you doing? Are you sure? Like, how was
Yeah.
that break?
So I think in the initial stages, it was quite a transition, because I was coming from a space where I was not a junior doctor anymore. So when you are working in a public hospital or whatever hospital, so you've got an intern, you've got a community service, and then you've got a medical officer. So I was at a level where I was a medical officer. So I was at a position where I was also able to call shots and give instructions and all of this. So it's like a bossy kind of,
Mm-hmm.
position. And also I had my own practice as well, where I was my own boss. So I haven't worked really I was never employed for a very long time. And that's part of my personality. So I like calling the shots. And when you move from that now into a wedding planner, a wedding planner, it might look fancy and glamorous
Mm-hmm.
because of how we portray it on social media. But actually, on the day, you are just a general worker. You actually pick up, I mean, you can't jump a piece of paper in front of the bride's table or where the bride is gonna walk. You find yourself sometimes picking papers, fixing chairs, fixing things,
Yes,
that,
sure.
yeah. So that looks like a low end kind of job. So, but it's it's something that I do without thinking twice. It's something that fulfills me. And
Yeah.
I never feel like I'm doing something that is quite beneath me. I think somebody who
Yeah.
struggles with it was my husband, because he's also a doctor. And in the initial stages, he used to say, "But how do you turn a career? I mean,
Yeah.
this is how do you turn a hobby into a career? I mean, this is just a hobby. How can you turn it into a
Yeah.
career?" But he's
Oh.
seen over the years the networks that I've made, and the networks that I've managed to connect him as well with, and
Mm-hmm.
the doors that it has opened for me. And when I do it, I give it my all, and it satisfies me. And I think that's one of the most important things, is to find that thing that fulfills you. It's not easy to know what your passion is. People are struggling,
Yeah.
Yes.
and they're stuck in jobs where they don't know really what is it that they can do. They know they're not happy with what they're doing, but they don't have other options and alternatives. So I'm one of the lucky people who has found something that I love, and that thing pays the bills as well.
That's amazing. You know,
This
and
is
I really,
really,
yeah,
yeah.
I applaud you for this, because I think a lot of people, specifically when the time is now hard, and I mean, we are facing a time that is like really difficult for a lot of people, and people are questioning
Mm,
what is it that they are doing, whether they are in the right space or not, you know, whether
yes.
they are doing like really the something that is fulfilling them. And I think by the end of the
Mm,
day, everyone, and it doesn't matter how old or how young you are, like, you have the 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 obligation to find your happiness, you know, whether
Yes,
it
yes.
is being a doctor, whether it is being a chef, whether it is being a planner or a florist, or whatever the case may be. And that's why I want to people understand that, like, a job description does not determine the value of you as a person, who you are, you know. There is no, like, like like an equation that says because you are a doctor, maybe you are a better person, or you have like much more opportunities than the other. And I think, I mean, if you're doing something with passion, whatever it is, this will be your success ticket. This will be the ticket to success, whether you are like in a low paid environment or a high paid environment. I think that doesn't really matter.
And I mean, we have the same experience. We can just say that it took me over 50 years to come to what I'm doing now, you know. And I never, if somebody would ask me like about 10 years ago, like what I'm doing now, if this is in my imagination, I would have said never, ever. Not imagine selling flowers in Africa, or doing events in Africa. That would not be even in my imagination. We both worked in the corporate industry. We have a well-paid jobs. You know, like I made lots of more money than I'm making now. But there
Exactly.
was something that I left. I missed happiness in my work. You know, it was very difficult, and that's why, like also my life turned at one point very much upside down, and I'm happy for that. Actually, it was a big shock, but at the other point, it turned me into the path where we are now. And sometimes you just have to have breaks in
Yeah.
your life to be on the
Where
right
you need
way.
to
Yeah,
be.
where you need to
Mm,
be. This is
mm,
exactly
mm.
what you describe. Thank you for that. What you say and what you show to people. But let's maybe talk a little bit about your work and what incredible things you have done, and what amazing things you are just put out on the way. How can I say that?
Mm.
In the
But
pipeline, yeah.
yeah, but also I didn't want to forget, Kali just said you are amazing. So for those people
Oh,
that don't know Kali,
oh,
she is actually the lady from the School
yes.
of Weddings. So
So
yeah,
yeah, so
just like
Kali is amazing. It's one of the people that opened my eyes in the industry. So my first encounter with proper wedding professionals, one of them was Kali through her school. And I still
wonderful.
recommend for people to go to the school because it's thorough. It's thorough and it's very comprehensive. So thank you, Kali.
I think we need things in our industry
Yeah.
for education. This is very much
Yes.
important, and we see this in the wedding industry, for the flower industry. There is a huge need for that, I would say, and I would be happy if we maybe one day have a school of floristry or something like that, if somebody takes up
Yeah.
this gap, because we see there is a lot of knowledge missing, in particular
Mm.
about flowers, about treatment of flowers, about like what flowers are available, how to do arrangements, and a lot of things like that.
And how to
But
price. I
but
mean, a big problem of
how to
pricing,
price,
you know?
right?
Yes.
Like sometimes, and you are absolutely right, sometimes I take the opportunity to jump in when there's groups in on Instagram or on Facebook, where florists discussing pricing, you know. And I personally believe the pricing here is in a lot of cases not correct. It is not correctly priced.
Completely
You
correct.
are undermine and undercut your own like level of work, and those of other colleagues, because a
Exactly.
lot of people do not calculate the flowers correctly. You need to calculate an additional margin on top of any flower that you sell,
Mm.
because you treat them, you have to bring them from the market, from the airport, from wherever.
Yeah.
You have to clean
Condition
them,
them.
condition them.
Yeah.
That
And then
all
the
is
time you
time.
spend. Yeah, it's time.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And then additionally, you have to like add labor on top of it. And
Yes.
this is my personal opinion, and I try to promote this. I didn't know that we are coming to talk about that right now, but this is a very
It's very
favorite
crucial.
topic
Yes.
of mine, because I personally believe that we as planner as well as florist, we should just calculate and quote differently. I personally prefer to have like deposit payments for quotes, and this gives any florist or planner that is doing flowers also the opportunity to be sure that this client is the right client for you. It is not a client that is unsure to go with you, because I think like when a client is sure to go with you, they are also happy to pay you for the work that you're doing. I'm always giving this example. If you call somebody when your washing machine is broken, right? The first thing that they asking you is, that's a call out fee, please pay, and then we send someone.
Yes.
Who is our call out fee?
Just to come and check.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, that's what it is. And when we get paid for the work that we are doing like upfront for the paperwork, and the client is happy to pay for it, and we can use this as a deposit when they go with us. I think that's fair enough. But then we all are more happy and not frustrated that we have maybe sent out several quotations per month, and we get
Mm,
only a very small portion of orders for that. I think this is something that we all need to change. This is not on me, but it's on me maybe
yeah.
to promote this, like that this is something we should do, because
Yeah.
in a lot of other countries it's done like that.
Funny enough, just this morning I had this conversation with a colleague friend, Eve of Splendid Wedding. And we were talking about that we think it's about time that we started charging for consultation, because we don't even charge for consultation. So we were saying that we think we should charge a small fee even for consultation and quoting, because it's time putting together a quote that somebody only takes to somebody else and just to beat the price, it's time, it's money, and sometimes you have to travel a bit to go and meet a
Yeah.
client. So we just had that this very same conversation this morning. So but I think it should also be done, and this is where education comes in, where people must try to educate themselves through attending of workshops or schools or things
Exactly.
like
Yeah.
that, where they can be knowledgeable in terms of what to price or charge for, because it doesn't help if I do it but everybody else is not doing it.
Yeah. And I
David,
think
give
you
me
sorry, like you see it also from a different perspective. And I think that is also again the key, because you come from an outside perspective. And that's why I like also that you say, you know what, I'm not a wedding planner, and no one is born a wedding planner, or no one is born a florist. So to actually get my skills right before I am getting into that job, which is a job and not a hobby, because once you are considering it as something that like you need to like really like know, because you need to pay your bills from that, you see it from a
Mm-hmm.
different angle. And specifically, like, I mean, you have like maybe different responsibilities and overhead costs, like because you have a certain lifestyle already, like you need to make it work like for you as a business owner, and not consider it as a hobby. This is always what I'm saying, like please, like people charge for your time, because it's the time and like that you put into like arranging, like. And even if you, like you said, maybe it's not even to say charge for a consultation fee. Maybe you can say, you know what, we charge for a deposit. The deposit is like considered like lost if you are not going with us after the consultation, and if you don't have, like, if you're not happy with what we are presenting you as a quote or as a proposal. but then at least you have something to retain because you have already invested a lot of your time and effort
Your
into
time.
something like that.
Mhm.
And I think that makes a whole shift and a whole different perspective for people to actually also value the time that you're putting into something, because what is for free has no value.
Right.
Like, what is for free, if we're
Absolutely
giving and
no
giving
value.
and giving people something for free, they consider this just as normal, but it's not, because you have kids, you need to take them from school, from I don't know what. It's taking time out of your life, like if you are engaging with another, because it is something that you need for a business. But again, it is a business purpose. It's not a private leisure time that you're spending with someone. You know, that is, I think, something that we need to always
Yeah.
like have as a
I
difference.
I
like
always had this
I like
idea,
what you
but
said as
now,
well.
no.
No, I
Yeah,
was saying
go
I
ahead.
liked what you said when you said give something for free has no value. I was actually discussing with a friend of mine not long ago where we were discussing the pricing of flowers and all of those things. And the observation that we've seen is that when you undercharge, the clients are also aware that you undercharge. And when you price correctly, even though it's expensive, they see that you've priced correctly and they know
Yeah.
that you're making a good or a reasonable profit. And they tend to also give you more respect because they can see that you're taking yourself serious and it's a business for you. And obviously the service that you're gonna offer is on a professional level. But somebody else offering the same thing, we're using the same flowers, but it's almost like half what I'm pricing. The clients
Yes.
end up just tossing them up and down. They talk to you however way they like because they've got no respect for you whatsoever, because they
Yeah.
see you also don't understand the business basics. You know, so they just tend to just to control you and do whatever that they want to do with you.
I think, like, I had this idea long ago, but at the moment, it is very clear to me, like, while we are talking about that, maybe afterwards, the two of us, we can, or the three of us, we can actually discuss this again, that we can maybe put out uh, uh, like a workshop about pricing, about this, discussing what is maybe necessary for all of us to come to a conclusion for pricing, because
From different
yeah,
perspectives,
from
you know,
different
you as a
perspectives.
Yeah.
planner, we as a supplier of
Yeah,
flowers, like maybe we have a florist, so
yeah,
just that we have like different like
angles.
people, you know, that we need to deal with on a normal base, because I think it again comes all down to communication amongst the people in the industry, but
Yeah.
also communication towards our clients, because we
Mm.
have to make them also understand the time and the effort that people need to put into certain things. You know, a lot of people, and you know well, I mean, you have been like internationally abroad also for other workshops, been like visiting other designers. Like if someone shows you let's say a caravan like picture, you know exactly how much time and effort it actually takes
Yeah.
to
How
come
many
up
flowers
with
it
this
takes?
with this instant. It's not a picture, it's just the count of flowers. It's much more than that. And I think this is the type of conversation and engagement that we have to like actually also like put out there as a communication, so that people also as clients like understand what is it that they like actually are paying for, what is like all the steps that need to go into creating an installation like that, all the logistics that is like needed around that. And I think that comes in specifically as a planner. Like it's not just that you have a florist that knows how to do it, is how to get the flowers in time, where's the place that you condition them, do we need to
And
hire
design fee. We not even have talked about design fee. We are floral designers. I mean, I always say we are not just florists. Just florist is downgrading the work of a floral designer, because everyone that's putting things together for a wedding has to design something, because it's not just putting a couple of flowers in a vase and that's it. They have to make a design for that, and that also need to be paid the time for making this design. I think we just don't want to take too much of the time from our conversation, but I think this is a very important conversation
It
for
is.
our
It is.
industry. And I think we should take this up afterwards again and make a like internal like industry conversation out of that. I would like that. Um,
I have a question actually.
Yeah.
You said like you walked us through to your first wedding, which obviously I
Mhm.
think is always like this is like something that we will always have in our memory forever. Like our first
Yes.
paid job. When you look at the wedding butterfly now, the situation that you are in, I think is not much different from any other planner right now in South Africa, in terms of weddings, because we are
Mm-hmm.
on the same boat, really knows what is happening for like larger scale events. And I think specifically also in your cultural environment, I mean, you rather have like weddings on a large scale,
That scale,
and not
yes.
so much like on a smaller scale, what we think is maybe going to open earlier than obviously larger gatherings. How are
Yes.
you, like as a doctor, and maybe that comes now like as a benefit to you, coping in this situation, understanding the situation from a medical perspective, but also like gearing your business into the future of what weddings and maybe also other opportunities you have now? Because I know, and I'm asking that question particularly because I know that you have just opened like a second business. Tell us a little bit
Yes.
more about like those two things. Like, how are you
Okay.
coping currently, and what doors maybe has it opened for you, the situation that you are in right now?
I think the pandemic itself has been quite a roller coaster. So I've gone through different emotions throughout. It's gonna be, well, since my last wedding, which was on the 21st of March, so the 21st of August is gonna be exactly 5 months. So you can imagine the emotions that comes with it, where you sit and you
Yeah.
count and say on the 21st it's gonna be exactly 6 months since I've had a wedding, you know. So I've gone through a lot of up and down in terms of emotions and gearing myself up. But I think I'm much more in a more stable situation right now, where my mind is clear and I've managed to actually go back to my younger self, where I'm also an entrepreneur outside the wedding butterfly. So this time gave me time to go back to when I didn't have children, when I was a medical student, but I was running businesses when I was a medical student. I had a stall when I was doing third year, and I was selling things when my classmates were worried about exams. I was worried about paying rent and paying my employees, you know, just back then. And
Yeah.
then I went back to say, what do I want? Who am I? What really, really fulfills me? Where do I want to see myself? And I think the answer that I came up with was that I'm really an entrepreneur at heart. And this also gave me chance to tap into the other projects that were just hanging. So some I won't disclose as yet, but then I also had a re-look at the wedding butterfly. What do I want for the wedding butterfly? Do I
Yeah.
still want to be busy every single weekend from September up until December? Is that what I want? And then if I'm going to be doing that for the next 5 years, where is that going to get me? So I'm also remodeling in terms of the number of weddings I want to host a year. So my focus
Mm-hmm.
now will be few weddings, but quality weddings. So that's my
Yeah.
my target or my
Cool.
goal, my 5 year goal,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I know it's gonna take time and to transition into that. Really, it's not like, that's why I'm not putting like 1 year or 2 years. I know it's gonna take time
Sure.
for me to get into that. And also during this time, I know a lot of people were trying out a lot of things. So there was boxed flowers, there was things. And at some point I said, and I wanted to do the flower arrangements or flower deliveries, but then I calculated the cost and things did not add up for me at that stage. And also, I didn't want to just be busy, you know, because I still have kids who are schooling at home and I have never schooled them at home before, you know.
challenge.
So, yeah, so
Yes.
then I decided to just sit back and just analyze the whole situation. Then there was something happened where a client of mine asked me to do a funeral for them. And when I was busy with weddings, so when everything was normal, I used to decline funerals. And the reason being, people do not want to pay for funerals. And I used to do I did a few funerals there and there, funeral flowers that I'm actually not even proud of, that I would not put out, because then the budget would be restricted and would be limited. But I had a client who said, we want to go all out. We want a dignified send off, though it's for 50 guests, but I understand your quality of work and I want you to go all out in terms of this funeral. And that's exactly what we did. And then I realized from that experience that actually our clients are up market, middle class, up market, luxury clients, people who understand our services, people that we're planning weddings for. If their loved ones passes on, they would want to have them have a dignified sent off in terms of the type of flowers that they've seen at the weddings. It won't be exactly the same, but it's almost the same textures arranged differently. So then I came up with Butterfly Florals SA. So we are focusing on up market. Really, it's really just up market funerals, so you'll see even the flowers that I use, so I don't compromise. So it's the flowers that we are used to using when we're doing weddings. So there's certain flowers that we don't touch at all. I'll just mention spray, because spray, it's not anybody's name. It's not a brand. So spray flowers, we usually tend to stay away from them for weddings, but I've used them in the past, and if you use them in a certain way, they can be nice and pleasing to the eye.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, but most of the time they are reserved for funerals, or people use them for funerals due to the price or whatever, and they're not cheap anymore at the moment anyway. So, but now I decided I don't want to work with sprays. I haven't worked with sprays for such a long time. So that's how Butterfly Florals came about, offering a unique luxury bespoke funeral services or funeral dignified send-offs.
Yeah. I think it's a great business idea. I think in this country, even I have, like, unless we have like seen your new Facebook page, Instagram page, I think we have not seen like someone take this up in the same like way than you. So I think on one side, and again, I think it's easier for you maybe even to go that far, because in your previous life and death was something that was very close by each other. You maybe have even a different way to speak to people in that very sad moment of like in time, because you were used to maybe like speak to people like that also before. And I think a lot of florists or planners are scared because I mean, it's a big heavy cloud nonetheless, like when a client comes to you and they want something beautiful, but it's different if you're planning a wedding or if you're planning a funeral. I mean, that's a fact. Just from the emotional like side, like not from the finishing touches, from using hours. And I think once this is in place, that's in place. But just to have this very like heavy emotional feeling, it's not for everyone.
No, and I can
It's
just
not
tell
for
you,
everyone.
No, carry on. Sorry, there's sometimes a delay. Just carry on.
Oh, okay. So it's not an easy one, and I must say it's very awkward consulting with a bereaved family, because usually when we do consultations with our brides, we are all excited. The bride is excited, you are excited, and you've got ideas, and you almost just want to jump on top of the table, and it's all exciting. But now you have to lower your voice and be aware of your tone. Everybody's whispering in the house. And even with in our African culture or our African tradition, when you go to visit the bereaved family, you have to wrap your head. So your head has to be covered as a way of respect to the bereaved family. And you have to wear a skirt. That's how I was raised, and that's how it's done back at home and in some families around. So I don't like putting anything on my head. So, but I have to do it as a way of showing respect. And when you do that, then now you are reminded that this is not a happy celebration. This is quite a sad celebration, because now you're putting a duke or whatever on your head, and you're wearing a skirt, and
Yeah.
the tone, you have to watch the tone of your voice. So it's awkward, I must say.
Just give people your two Instagram handles now. Maybe if some people haven't checked out like your new butterfly floral like section, just give people like the two handles, like just to see like if they want
where
to
they can
reach you,
contact you.
how they can contact you.
So our main page is there, Wedding Butterfly, and our sister company, it's Butterfly Florals SA.
Okay.
Butterfly Florals SA.
Wonderful. I also would add something what Alfie said, and we just briefly before we went online, we discussed this, because we were hoping the last couple of years that someone takes up this opportunity for a different kind of offer for funerals, because we as Europeans, we we grew up with a different culture of funeral flowers in particular. Like what we said is not only that the family of the person that died is providing flowers in a beautiful way, but also the guests attending a funeral are bringing flowers, and not just like a bunch of flowers, but beautiful arrangements like wreaths or cushions full of flowers, with a banner, like with some poems or quotes, or with well wishes for the person to say farewell. And this is the way why also in Europe people used more expensive flowers, because as a person that brings something to a funeral, you want not to bring the cheapest of the cheapest for maybe your friend's farewell, or your mom, your dad, your uncle, whatever. You want to in a certain way show your respect and your love for this person with the kind of flowers that you are providing. And I think it comes in a certain way also to this in South Africa. I think also the culture of funeral like flowers would maybe change.
Yeah, I think so. So as I was doing part of my homework and drawing inspiration from pictures from Europe as well, and I actually got shocked at the level of extravagance of the funerals, because where I thought, because with funerals you have to just see, almost just check if you're not overstepping, and it's also difficult to actually market the funerals themselves. Hence, I came with a separate page. So I went on to see how are the funeral parlors putting out their work out there as well, because you don't want to overstep and be insensitive or come out as insensitive. So I checked, okay, I'm following quite a few funeral parlors. So I wanted to see how are they marketing and advertising their work on social media. Then I went on to overseas pictures, like you say, and I was shocked at the level of work that I saw at funerals. They've got installations, they've got attachments on caskets with unique pieces. Like you would find flowers wrapping the entire casket, dropping down. They've got special wreaths in different sizes, but also the flowers that they pick and they use, luxury flowers that we use that we're using at the weddings, they use for funerals. And I think the level of some of those funerals, it's still gonna take us quite some time to reach there. Just like with weddings, we're still a little bit behind with some of our weddings. And when I looked at the funerals, I really, really, really got shocked, and I thought, gosh, we still have quite a long way to go, but we will get there. We will get there.
But it's also a good thing, you know what a disadvantage gives opportunity for advantage. I really believe in that, because a lot of people also ask us like why we are doing things we are doing here in Africa, because it's so far back, you know, and we say,
Mm.
yeah, we know that there is like a delay in a lot of things, but also that gives us the opportunity to work on it, to step into this gap of the industry and to improve this part of the industry, you know. And I think this is absolutely amazing what you have done, and I wish
Thank
you the
you.
most of the best,
Yes.
and I wish you
Thank
clients
you.
that appreciate your work and that they are happy to see how much passion and love you put into this. And I can just say I did one funeral beside of the last one that we did for one of our staffs, a mom, but I could not do a funeral. I was crying the whole time when I did this arrangement because I felt like it is somehow not made for me. I feel the pain like of the family.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
cannot I
It's very
cannot do that,
difficult.
and I appreciate everyone that actually can take this
As a job.
as a job. Yeah,
And but
Yeah, no,
again, I
it's
mean, this is why, like, what, like, your like where you have come from,
yeah.
like, has opened a door for you right now, like, to let you communicate also differently with your clients like that. And I think that is, it's a gift in a way, for you.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to touch on one thing, because you mentioned the
Before
flowers
you
that
go
you are
there, can I
using
just
could be also.
can I
Yes,
interrupt you a bit? Yo, I wanted to say thank
yes,
you because I'm gonna forget. I wanted to say thank you for the beautiful compliment and for the acknowledgement. It really humbles me when somebody really sees your work and they really just compliment you. And actually, coming from you, I hold you guys in such high regard. I met you a couple of years ago when you hosted a flower workshop in Cape Town. I can't remember when that was.
Right.
And I saw Yes Exclusive was hosting a flower workshop, and I thought to myself, gosh, I have to be there. And we've met over and over, local and international, where we attended quite a few workshops or seminars, master classes
yeah.
together. So it's really, really humbling, and I must say thank you.
Thank, thank
Thank
you
you
very
very much.
much. And
Yeah.
I felt at the time very honored that someone comes flying in from Joburg to my workshop in town. So you were there with your friend from Bottle and Tent, right?
Yes,
Bottle and
yes, with
Tent, correct?
Tumelo. Yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. Send her my regards. I always see her
I
from
will.
time to time on the Instagram.
I
So
will. I
yeah,
will.
we are monitoring, not saying we are stalking from some to time with the colleagues, but it's
Talking.
also interesting for us to see what people do with our flowers. And not even like we have so many ways to distribute. We have a couple of wholesaler in country, so not always clients buy directly from us, but also from our partners. So, and sometimes we just spotting our flowers and we say, wow,
Ours.
this is ours, you know, like we are very happy to see them. It's like a little baby that we have sent out
Good.
and we say, oh, look, this is there, right? So we really
Yeah.
enjoy when people work with our flowers. Thank you for the nice compliment. We
Okay.
feel very honored. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. And what I just wanted to say, because you mentioned those flowers that you're using now could easily be used also at a wedding. You know, the cost of the flowers, and this just maybe for like the people who are watching who are not from the industry, the flowers
Mm.
that you are using are not any less or more expensive just because the purpose is different. You know, I mean, like the a hydrangea costs the same if you're using it for a wedding or for a
Or for
funeral, you know. And a lot of people have the perception still, and I think it will take still a long time, but I think that's why it's amazing that you are like spearheading in this way, and people who see your work like hopefully also appreciate that you're putting the exact same amount
same
of,
effort.
and I call it love and passion and dedication into like this funeral business the same way as in weddings. And I think that is something, if people appreciate that, then they also like are not surprised if there is a certain price point, because it's exactly the same, just the purpose is different.
Definitely. So it's exactly the same. So if I'm going to be using orchids that I use for a wedding, if it's for a funeral, it's exactly the same. The amount of time it's gonna take me to arrange a ball or whatever
Yeah.
size of flower is exactly the same. So the pricing, it's not different from pricing for
Yes.
a funeral, from a wedding flower, just because the occasion is different, but the pricing in terms of the product itself, really, it's not different. And that's why there's offering. Really, it's not an offering where we are expecting to be working every single weekend, because there's
Yeah.
lots of funerals every single weekend. So it's just similarly aligned to our wedding businesses, where we know we're not going to work all the time. So it's for that market, really, that appreciates and can afford. Because I know sometimes people do appreciate and they would love to have what we offer, but unfortunately funds don't allow them. So it's for those individuals who can say, you know what, we're going to tap into our savings and we want to go all out with no stones unturned, and we're going all the way.
Yeah, and I think there's nothing wrong. We all have our markets, and we have to set our markets. And there is a need for everything. There is a need for high end. There is a need for mid size. There is a need
Yes.
for a lower like budget services. And this is not to be qualified. I would not say a high end is more qualified than a lower budget, whatever event it is. You should put the same love and effort in a lower budget and a high budget. There is no qualification on that. But what you say, and what we also like understand and try to put through to the people, quality over quantity. It doesn't mean you have to have 5 million carnations on an event and whatever it is. Rather, have 100 orchids, and that makes a statement, and that is what it is. And it can cost you even less sometimes. It is nothing about the cost. Sometimes to be less is more, just be more classy.
No, true that. Yeah. No, that's true.
I have
I think also one of the
one.
mistakes I almost
Sorry, yeah.
made. Oh, I almost made a mistake when I was launching the business. I had a client that I had to decline that wanted me to fit into their budget, and I almost did that. But then I realized that though this is a new company, but this is not new because it's an extension of my other business. So I've already done the groundwork. So I can't now be starting afresh just because now I've got an extension of the business. So I've set a standard through the other business.
Exactly.
And this is just a continuation. Really, we're not starting from scratch where we're going to say, okay, we can take 1 or 2 jobs for free or at cost.
That's right.
No.
My thumb. I don't get the thumb right in the picture, but yeah, I would say just
I
right.
agree to that. Yes. Can I ask you, as my final question would be, and I think that is a question I know lets you maybe look a little bit into the crystal ball, but maybe from your medical understanding, you can give people maybe a different understanding. And I know you have been on asked also as a doctor to comment on the current COVID situation for events. What does it mean for people in the industry, and maybe especially in the beginning, what people need to be prepared for. Right now, when we look at that, we are in still stage 3 out of 5, and nobody really knows what it is still in store for events. If you would speak to the people in also giving people an understanding of what is happening. Oh, sorry. I was just got lost here for a second. Just my final question is if you speak to people from the industry, if you would speak to people from the industry, what would you give them maybe as hope or an understanding or a recommendation of what people still need to be prepared for in terms of events? I mean, you understand COVID from a complete different angle. You maybe like, understand, like, how long will it still take uh, for things to normalize, to just like settle in? How- like, what is it when people are asking? Because obviously a lot of people are asking, like, what is it? When can weddings take place? And I mean, we have
Yeah.
like clients, you have clients, that ask like, what is it that you are like answering, like as a doctor and as a
Mm.
wedding planner? So I mean, what is it that you
Whew,
give as an
yeah.
advice to people right now?
I think my answer to that question has changed from the time we were answering it in the early stages up until now. I remember initially we were predicting that by September, we would be able to host weddings. And that was based on what was happening outside of the country and what was being projected in terms of our peak. I've got friends who are in the medical field, and what they say about the peak is a completely different story on a daily basis. So today they say this, then tomorrow it's something else. I mean, so in terms of when it's gonna open up, I don't know. It's hard to predict, but I have a feeling that it might be sooner. And the reason for that is that almost everyone is open. And when you look at weddings, it's not different from what people are doing. So when you look at a wedding ceremony, it
Yeah.
takes place in church. And at the moment, church can host 50 attendees. So how is it different from hosting an hour, 45 minutes to an hour of a wedding ceremony in a chapel, 50 people, properly social distance? And so restaurants are open for dining with social distancing in between and limits in terms of the number of people. And when you look at a wedding reception, it's a similar setup as a restaurant. And I think our venues really also are working hard on their side to ensure that they will abide by the protocols and whatever that needs to be done. So I think if they look at it at that angle and apply the same rules and regulations that are applied to other settings, to weddings, I mean, they could even limit the number of hours people are supposed to have a wedding ceremony or a wedding reception. But at the moment, as things stand, it's no different from what is happening out there, and people are actually doing whatever they want to do, which is quite a pity, because I think if you are found hosting a wedding when weddings are not hosted, you can actually find yourself in a big mess. And I think we must just hang in there, and hanging in there unfortunately does not also pay bills because people's lives must go on. People's cars and houses must still be paid for, and sitting and waiting and wait, and you don't even know waiting for how long.
Yeah. I think the
So
uncertainty, yeah, is the biggest
yeah, the
problem.
uncertainty, it's a problem. It's a problem for us, it's a problem for our clients. We don't even know what answers to give to our clients. I've managed to
Mm.
move most of the weddings to next year, but we still have weddings hanging and hoping that something will happen in October, something will happen in December. And I don't have answers for those people, because I don't know whether we will have anything in December, in October, and if we do, how many people. But what I know is that eventually, when all of this thing is over, we are going to be very busy. So people must also be careful. Yeah, people must also be careful of putting down their prices out of desperation at the moment, because I know people are desperate and they're lowering their prices, because what you will find will happen is you will be fully booked, but fully booked with nothing. So you'd rather
Busy,
wait
you
it
will be
out.
busy,
Yeah,
but
you'll
you will
easily,
not
yeah,
make
you'll be
money.
busy. Yes.
You will be
So
busy,
you'd
but
rather wait it out and really be fully booked with proper work, because the last thing you want is just to feel sorry and ashamed that you booked a wedding that is discounted and brings nothing to you because you were desperate and so scared. So we can just wait. We are going to be very busy when all of this is eventually over.
I totally agree with you. And we had this discussion also with another client, and we encourage everyone that we are working with, like for weddings, like on the wedding business, that
Mhm.
they should not put down the prices, because
No,
this
no,
is not right. Is
it's
not
not
right.
helping the industry.
no.
It's
No.
not only not helping you, it's not helping everyone in the industry, because it's not a realistic price. I think even price is actually will be more expensive because stuff will be
Exactly.
but more expensive to get
Yes.
in. I mean, we see it right now with the flowers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the
Yes.
flight costs and the logistics costs are just much more expensive than we could have ever imagined. You know, like it's not on us. It's just the circumstances and the environment makes things just much more expensive rather than the opposite, to make it less expensive and then offer it as a lower price point. I think that's completely the wrong way to look at things. But I
Yeah.
also understand, I mean, to be quite honest, we know that there's a lot of despair, that there's a lot of
Yes.
hopelessness like out there. You know, I think there are, I mean, we are still in a rather fortunate position in a way. You know, I mean, like there are who are desperate. I can understand it, but I just want to plead to say, please don't do it. Like, don't ruin your own
Yes.
possibilities to actually like benefit from a client sale, in the sense that you don't need to put money, because that is the last thing that people need right now.
No, we will
No,
encourage
that is
our
true.
clients as like couples to make down payments towards next year, that those people may be desperately in need to overcome the time, you know, that they can work with the deposits in a certain way, to come
Bridge
to
time.
bridge the time. I think that is what we try rather to do than getting discounts and discounts. We never ask for a discount, any of our clients, never.
Mm, mm, mm.
I think this is a wonderful final. We've got a comment from a lady, Naleda. Maybe you know her or not, but said she loves the advice here. So we thank you for giving the
Thank
advice
you.
to our listening, and to share your story, to share your knowledge, your wisdom, and to share like the story of your new business. And we are very excited for that. And we wish you all the very best. And like everybody that listens to us, the Wedding Butterfly is doing incredible weddings, and it's also there for a beautiful farewell for your loved ones.
Yeah. Oh,
Thank you
thank you,
so
thank you,
much.
thank you. I don't take this opportunity for granted. I know we've been wanting to have this for the longest time, but I was just juggling my time with the kids, and we could never find a suitable time. But I always believe that there's time for everything, and the time was now and today,
No,
you know. So
thank
thank you,
you.
thank you, thank
Thank you.
you for this beautiful platform. It was lovely. I can't believe it's over an hour now. It just went by
Yeah,
so quickly. Yeah.
time is
And I
flying.
also wish you guys absolutely the best, and just hang in there. We are going to be fine.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so
We
much.
we are always seeing the glass half full and never half empty. And I wish everyone to see it same way, even if times are tough. Uh, if times are tough, this is also an opportunity, and you have shown that is exactly what it is. Always hope. There's always a plan B, and there's always something that one can
Yeah,
do and can start something
absolutely.
new. Thank you so much, and maybe we take our
Thank
idea that
you.
we've created for the wedding industry pricing. I would get back to you. I would love to
Yeah.
do that, and to invite other people to have a
Yes.
joint discussion, because I think it's necessary. It's really
Awesome.
necessary.
No, most definitely. It is. It is. All right.
Thank you so
Goodbye.
much.
Good
Stay
night.
safe and all the very
Bye.
best. Bye bye.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Tumelo. Thanks
Bye.
a lot.